Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rekahak, Wadash, double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever, the 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen nations that look like those heathens. This is not a black thing. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth and sincerity. All right. The Israelites are scattered among all people, so it's not just so-called black people that are Israelites. Many black people are heathens. They have heathen foreparents. So just because, you have melanin, all skin folk, not kinfolk. All right. You have to come to that understanding. If you can't come to that understanding, the Lord's not dealing with you. If you think that it's melanin, you can get melanin from your mother and your father look like these men on the screen. All right. Which means you are of their seed, their race, their bloodline. You just happen to have melanin. That's when the scripture talks about when the Lord refers to the wheat and the tares. All right, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get that, and then I can get into the lesson. Let me find that real quick. I know that's in Matthew when the Lord is speaking. He said, who have done an enemy have done this. Yeah, Matthew 13. And 25 through 29. And I'm going to put it in. I know that's in red, but I always like to put the word of the Lord in the green in the barrel. It's just something that I do to help identify things. Yeah, red should be just only for Esau. But this is Matthew 13 and 24. And it reads, and another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man who sowed good seed in his field. All right. And remember that a husband lays seed. That's what a planter is. A husband is a planter. He planted seed in his wife or his wives, because it is biblically, a man is allowed to have multiple wives, and many of the biblical forefathers actually had multiple wives, and they weren't adulterers or sinners because they did so. That's a new world fraud, like many other things. All right. Remember, the 12 tribes of Israel came out of 4 different women. Okay. And none of those women were Israelites. All right. They all became Israelites because of Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Yasharallah. All right. He, Prince Power. All right. Yasharallah is the proper way of saying Israel in the ancient Hebrew. All right. And all the patriarchs, the 12 sons, they were Israelites because their father was an Israelite. So in the seed lies the man. That's why they're coming against that right now with the gender wars and this whole mess about the Y chromosome disappearing. Men are disappearing. They want women can we all remember that video with the Bartholin gland. Shut up. All right. A woman cannot impregnate herself. All right. So that's new age madness. But continuing on. But while men slept, his enemy slept, meaning when we didn't know who we were. You can go to Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah 17 and 4. And it's funny, apologists and Christians, they try to, and the different J-ish organizations, when they try to use their controlled narrative terminology, try to control the narrative, they try to discredit this scripture, or they don't acknowledge it. And the 2 things that they don't acknowledge is the fact that the Israelites was separated from their heritage for a long period of time and had to be reawakened, which that's the prophecy of Ezekiel 37. And then that's followed by Ezekiel 38 and 39, the end of Esau, Edom. All right. Which proves it's not the end of Japhet. That, Japhet is not the so-called white man. But Jeremiah 17 and 4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy inheritance that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Which means a long time, not forever. Because the Lord promises he will restore Israel, which proves that scripture means for a long time and not for actually forever. If that were the case, we would just be no more. And then the people who are claiming our heritage, which created the J word, the issues, the JOOs, and they would just take our place, as they've as they kind of have on the outward appearance. But as you see, the world of Christianity, even other rabbis and Zionists and Muslims and other Edomites, and especially the Hebrew Israelites, which make up Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, not the word black in front of it. All right, that's a controlled false narrative by these J-ish organizations. The world is waking up to the fact that these people are frauds, including their own, like Keaton Weiss. All right, because the Israelites got scattered through slavery and sold into slavery, naked and in chains on slave ships, as it was prophesied. And they try to discredit the prophecies. All right, as they speak about prophecies, they try to discredit the ones that identify the Israelites and prove their condition that they would be in today. All right. And try to scream, you don't speak Hebrew, and you got separated from your heritage. How's a child was and just for an example, that was of, let's say, of modern day Moabites? They refer to them as Chinese today. Or if you're a Moabite descendant, but you grew up in Sweden in an English speaking, or in a Swedish speaking, Dutch speaking, English speaking country. All right. And then they say, oh, well, you don't speak Chinese, you're not Chinese. That's not going to take away from your heritage. That's not going to make you not a Moabite. What that makes you is a Moabite who was separated from their heritage. I don't understand why it's so difficult for so many people. But then I could do, because the Lord didn't give them eyes to see or ears to hear. That's what the problem being. But the Israelites got separated from their heritage. So let's go back to Matthew. I think we were in 25 or 26. Oh yeah, 25. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. All right, tares is basically that's where you get your mamzer from. All right, it's considering the Israelites. All right, because if your father's an Israelite, you're an Israelite. There's too many evidences of that in the Bible. Moses' sons, Joseph's sons, and many other characters in the Bible that had Israelite fathers. If your father is a heathen and your mother is an Israelite, then you're a tear, like the children of the granddaughter of John Hyrcanus, and the one who married Herod. Herod was an Edomite. All right. And it's possible that he was a melanated, chocolate-covered Edomite. Nevertheless, the Herodians were an Edomite line, and that was your first people who became J-ish, so to speak. All right. When John Hyrcanus, the grandnephew, all right, the great grandnephew of was it the great nephew of Judas Maccabees? I think it was his brother Simon's bloodline. His brother Simon Maccabee. John Hyrcanus was a great grandson of, a great grandson of through his father's line, from son to son. Men begot children, all the way down to John Hyrcanus, who I believe that's in 4th or 5th Maccabees, or 2nd Maccabees. Nevertheless, it's there. Someone can post it on the comment board. But he, after the defeat of Idumea, a portion of the Edomites, they were forced to follow our laws and ways and live up under us. And later on, they actually fought against the Romans right along with the Israelites. When 70 AD happened, these Edomites were fighting right alongside, because after, same way we were conditioned in the Greek for 400 years, they were conditioned to following the laws and statutes and commandments. So these people wholeheartedly believed. Okay? It's an easy thing to become a terror and become confused. And that's so that was like reverse of what we were. The same thing that happened to this group of Edomites, but they weren't under the covenant. You can't get the blessings of Jacob just because you believe and follow him. All right? And that's what these people are doing, still the same thing today. All right? So verse Matthew 13:27. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, dost thou not sow good seed in the field? From whence then has it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Without then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. And so, because when you look at tares and you look at wheat, they look alike. So, matter of fact, let's go ahead and read verse 30. And it reads, Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye up the first the tares, and bind them in bundles, and burn them, but gather up the wheat into my barn. So the Edomites that look like Israelites or other nations are going to get gathered up and burned, because Esau has to be destroyed. The world is ruled by Edom upon the return of the Lord. You can't get around those prophecies, around those scriptures. Proven that Christianity and apologists, all Judaism, all those doctrines are doctrines of men and are false, because none of them acknowledge that. And that's what the scripture says clearly. All right. The Lord returns to a world ruled by Edom. Esau is the end. Let's get it. All right. Esau is the end of the world. That's in 2nd Ezra 6 and 7. And it reads, Then answered I and said, What shall be the part in the sum of times? And when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the hill of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, the kingdom of heaven. And I saw a new Jerusalem coming down upon earth. The kingdom of heaven will be here on earth, with the Israelites being the heavenly government here on earth as it is in heaven. The laws of the Bible are heavenly laws, and the laws of the Bible will be the laws that control and rule over all the earth. And it will be the 144,000, 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel that will distribute and govern over all the nations of the earth, to ensure that they follow the laws of the Bible, to ensure that they follow on earth as it is in heaven, point blank, period. There is no fucking argument. That's what it is. All right? That is what it absolutely is. Excuse my French, my German, or whatever the hell you want to call it. All right? So now with that being said, we're going to go to a video clip of Candace Owens going back and forth with Rabbi Shumley. And so this religious stuff, it's over. All right? When you got, and these women really need, she quoted scripture. I guess she really wasn't teaching. She was just in a heated battle. But, that's coming to an end, too. These women with all these voices, because they're making a big deal out of it, going viral with Candace Owens saying it. But the men of the Lord, the Hebrew Israelites, have been saying this. And it was 1:44 when I said that. Wow. I was looking at the time, looked up at it. And, The men of the Lord have been saying this on the highways and byways and getting condemned for it. She said it and she's being praised. Man, but here we go. Let me turn the sound up a little bit.
Pretty well. This is a monologue that went somewhat viral for good reason.
Prior to October 7th, I don't think many people were engaged with what is happening in Israel. You know, we kind of all said the same thing. Israel is our friend and ally. I count myself among those people. Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima. This doesn't make sense to me. Gaza is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lie.
Ooh, let's she cut the fuck out of him. Let's continue Revelation 3:9. But it says, behold, they do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet to know that I have loved thee. So this man is going to worship at the feet of the actual Israelites, and he's going into slavery. That is the destruction, the end for Esau, Edom, and these imposters, as bastards, as Zechariah 9:6 calls them. Bastard means fraud, phonies, fake. All right. Zechariah 9:6. And it reads, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. A fake, a fraud, a phony shall dwell in Ashdod. Edomites, the Amalekites on top of that. Amalek is actually in the land of Israel, projecting the Amalekite heritage on the Ishmaelite victims of their hate, of their crime, of their murder that she just pointed out. All right. And, like I said, they duck and dodge Ezekiel 36:5, a very important prophecy. So once again, for the third time, Rabbi Yaakov Shapiro, Judaism is just a religion and not a race of people or an ethnicity, and that is 144% true and accurate.
I'm an ultra-Orthodox Jew, and that's why I haven't been in a movie theater for 50 years. And to me, Judaism, being a Jew, means one thing. Judaism is not a culture, chicken soup. I met Gilad the first time in a kosher deli on Broadway, and he sits down and he says, first thing he says is, opens the menu and he says, what's the most Jewish food? So first thing I said, there's no such thing as Jewish food because Judaism is not an ethnicity, but if you want to know which food Jews would probably eat most, order the sushi.
And then the people laughed. Ezekiel 36:5. This is the prophecy that's being revealed. All right. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. The Edomites, Amalek, to be correct and exact, has appointed the land of Israel into their own possession and casting the people out for a prey. And they're preying on the other inhabitants that don't belong there. Ishmael doesn't belong there. That's the land of Israel. And in the book of Joel, it tells you that Ishmael and Edom would pretty much be there, that the land would be parted. That's another prophecy that came to pass. And now the Amalekites are trying to take it all to themselves. And we're in the time of revealing. Esau, Edom has been revealed. We are in the last moments of the last days. All right. So let's take it back one more time. And this Jewish guy, Rice, said it went viral for good reason. He didn't condemn it. He didn't speak against it. He actually applauded her. He said this went viral for good reason.
Viral for good reason.
Prior to October 7th, I don't think many people were engaged with what is happening in Israel. We kind of all said the same thing. Israel is our friend and ally. I count myself among those people. Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima. This doesn't make sense to me. Gaza is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say I am Jewish and...
Man, she cut the shit out of him. Let me go ahead and read that, and then we'll wrap it up in its entirety. That's Isaiah 5:20 that she quoted. And she quoted Revelation 3 and 10. So let's go to Isaiah. Now I'm going to read 20 through 23. Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, and put darkness for light and light for darkness. That put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty in drink, wine, and men of strength, to mingle among strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward, and take away the righteous of righteousness from him. So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rekah HaKodash, Kwam Yasharala, Abad Babal.